Hey everyone, Scott here. Got my Bible. Hope you have yours. Let's talk. Let's talk about the subject of heaven. You see, I think heaven is one of those words that there's a lot of misconception about. We throw it around kind of casually in our everyday conversation. We might say something like, "This cheesecake sure is heavenly," or "My idea of heaven is a chair on a sunny beach." But in reality, heaven is so much more than either of those things. Heaven is our reward as Christians. And it's something that should motivate us and help us to resist temptation and help us to endure. When I started to think about this subject, it reminded me of a very special time when my family and I went up to northern Michigan and we toured the island of Mackinac near the Canadian border. It's right near Lake Huron, between Michigan's upper and lower peninsulas. I don't know if you've ever made the trip up there, but this is a very special place. One of the reasons for this is that it's full of beauty. The travel brochure boasts that whether it's an awe-inspiring rock formation, a breathtaking walk through the woods, or a gorgeous sunset on the beach, there's a photo-worthy moment everywhere you turn. And I tell you what, they were right. My family had the opportunity to rent a horse-drawn carriage that took us on a tour of the island. It was just amazing. One of our favorite parts was a place called Arch Rock. It's this natural rock bridge that's suspended about 149 feet up in the air with an amazing view of the lake. We also toured old Victorian houses that were filled with gardens of flowers, and we looked at Fort Mackinac, and we went into this wonderful butterfly conservatory filled with all sorts of different specimens of very colorful butterflies. There was really something new to see around every corner. And if you think about it, our world's like that. Our world is full of beautiful scenery. But in the Bible, we're assured by the inspired Apostle Paul that heaven will be so much more. He assures us in 2 Corinthians 4, verse 17, that heaven is an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. We can also see this in descriptions such as Revelation 21, verses 10 through 21, where the Apostle John writes about the abode of Christians, talking about walls of jasper and gates fashioned out of single pearls and streets of gold and symbolic things like that. But heaven's not only a beautiful place to behold, the Bible also tells us that it's the most wonderful place to live. And why is that? I think it has a lot to do with the absence of things. It's also one of the reasons that Mackinac Island is so very picturesque. You see, the only kind of traffic that's allowed on the island is your own 2 feet, a bicycle, or perhaps a horse. No motorized vehicles allowed on the island. I think that takes a little bit of getting used to, but it definitely adds to the attraction of the place. Now you might be thinking, why does that remind me of heaven? Well, simply put, heaven too is a place that will be marked by some notable absences. For example, it'll have the absence of pain and death. As the writer talks about in Revelation 21:4, He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain any more, for the former things have passed away. The lack of these things, death, mourning, and pain, also points us to the absence of sin. Heaven will be a sinless place. It also have another notable absence, and that is of our great enemy, Satan. Revelation 21, verse 27 tells us, "Nothing unclean will ever enter it, nor anyone who does what is detestable or false, but only those who are written in the Lamb's book of life." But that's not all. One of the reasons I enjoyed this trip so very much is because I got to spend it with the people that are most important to me, my family. My wife and all my children were there, and it was just as much fun to experience it through their eyes as it was to see it myself, and I bet you can relate to that. Now, can you imagine taking a vacation to a spot that's filled with all your loved ones and family? What a treat that would be. Well, what if besides those wonderful people, this island was also filled to the brim with a host of people who loved God and did their best to serve Him? Wouldn't that be a wonderful and glorious place? Sounds like heaven, doesn't it? In heaven, not only will we be reunited with our Christian loved ones, We'll also be enjoying the company of those who have gone before us throughout the ages. I'm talking about people like Abraham, Moses, David and Joseph. I'm talking about Esther and Ruth and Mary and Martha. And I've saved the best for last. You see, on Mackinac Island, there's this special place you can visit called the Grand Hotel and be served high tea if you wish. It's kind of like the highlight of the island, a central location as it were, kind of like the crowning jewel. And this reminds me of heaven as well, because the best part of heaven, its crowning jewel, is the presence of God. You see, God's presence is what makes heaven heavenly. I've thought about this for years. I've come to the conclusion that if God isn't in heaven, I don't want to be there. I just want to be where God is. And thankfully, God's in heaven. Read with me Revelation 21 verse 3, which says, "And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and God himself will be with them as their God. In heaven, we will live eternally and be with our Creator." Now, I'm not trying to make Mackinac Island out to be some sort of heaven on earth. I mean, obviously, it's far from that. All you have to do is walk down the boardwalk crowded with tourist traps and cheap souvenirs to be convinced of that. No, I just wanted to share with you some pictures of heaven in the hopes that they're as motivating to you as they have been to me. Personally, I can't wait to lay my eyes on that beautiful city. And I'm eagerly anticipating a place in where there's the absence of everything that plagues us here on earth, including pain, loss, and death. I too have many people that I wish to be eternally reunited with. I'm looking forward to standing in that great throng of people, the faithful throughout all the ages. But most of all, the thought of eternally dwelling with my God, praising Him, and carrying out any kind of work that He wishes to give me, that fills me with great joy and a sense of purpose and motivation. And I hope it does the same thing for you. Thanks for watching, and God bless.